a web page, we're going to use HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, in order to access the content from the internet. Type specifies the type of server, and name or address specify the address of the server, and that path specifies the location of the file on a server. If I consider the internet address which is of character based, then we are going to call that as a domain name. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I welcome you all to the session 2 on chapter 16, that is Internet and Open Source Concept. I am Rohini TS, lecturer, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So in the previous session of this chapter, we have discussed regarding what do you mean by open source software and what is the need of having this open source software. So under that, we have discussed what do you mean by OSs, FLOSs, and also we have discussed regarding the free software, and also we have learned regarding the GNU, that is GNUs, not Unix, and also FSF, that is Free Software Foundation, and also OSI, Open Software Initiative, and also W3C, that means World Wide Web Consortium, that will going to provide a standard for the software which needs to be in www. And also we have discussed regarding the proprietary software, which is neither free neither open source, and also regarding freeware. So you can just copy, you can just distribute it, but you can't modify the content or you can't get the source code. And also same thing with shareware. So this is what we have discussed in the last session of this chapter. So in our today's session, we will be discussing about what do you mean by www, that is World Wide Web, and also we will be discussing regarding the Telnet. And also you already know about this web browser. Though we are going to learn about this web browser and what do you mean by web server, what is web page, and what do you mean by URL, then what do you mean by those are domain names, what are the examples we have, what are the domains we have, and also we will be learning with a main concept called electronic commerce. So in short, it will be considered as a e-commerce, and also we will be learning with the types of e-commerce, what are the advantages I can get with this e-commerce, what are the applications we have, and also we will be discussing about the IPR, that is Intellectual Property Rights in India. So these will be the content of my today's session. Let me get into this first topic, that is related to www, that is World Wide Web. So as we all know that, you just imagine we are in the ocean. I just wanted to pick up some of the important minerals or some of the content which is in the ocean. So if I consider this ocean as a www, so it will going to hold large amount of information which will going to hold n number of content in it. I just wanted to get the access to that data. Then who is going to provide the service? That will be termed as web server. So all these will be considered as a content. So that is the content, or I can say the information. So how can I get it? For example, we are in the ocean, I can get it with the help of what? A ship or a boat. So if I navigate it, I can get the content. So this will be considered as a web browser. Then who is providing all these minerals or important content to the person who is coming in the boat? Then that is web server. Who is approaching? Then there will be the web client. So we have a ocean, that is www, World Wide Web. So it will going to have a content, large amount of informations or a data which will going to be available over the internet. So in order to get that, we require a web browser. And if you fetch any of the minerals, that is a bulk amount of data will be there. That is what I can consider that as a website. If I dig into it, I can get collection of web pages. That collection of web pages will be termed as website, and collection of website will be termed as web portal. It is like a ocean. So we are going to compare this internet things with a ocean, because as much as we dig into that, we can get lot amount of informations with the help of this www, that is World Wide Web. It will going to provide an access, or It is a set of protocol that allows you to access any documents on the net through a naming system which is based on the URLs. That means I can access whatever the data which is present on the internet with the help of its address. We are calling that as a URL. Here also, if I get to know I need to navigate here or else I need to navigate here, that specifies the address. How can I reach to that place? That specifies the URL. So this is www, that is World Wide Web. It is giving access to the content. It is giving an access to the content with the help of internet. So for that I require this web browser in order to get the content. And who is providing a service? Then they will be the server. Who is getting a service? They will be the client. So if I get to know its address, that is URL or Uniform Resource Locator. I will be discussing in my coming slides. And also this www also specifies a way the hypertext transfer protocol. In short, it is HTTP, in order to request and send a document over the internet. So if I wanted to fetch the content or if I wanted to access the content of the internet over the help of URL, so we are going to use a protocol called HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What is the use of it? So with the help of this HTTP, I can send a request. For example, I want to seek some of the information over the internet. At the time, I am just going to type something with the help of web browser, right? So I am sending a request, then who is going to access my request? With the help of this HTTP protocol, we can access it. Then it will going to send the response back to the client. By taking a help of web server, it will fetch the content from the web or from the internet, then it will give back to the client. For that purpose, we are going to use this HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So in order to request and send a document over the internet. And also before this www, only internet were there. So that is what only character based. But why this www has take much popularity than the internet? Because of its graphical intensive nature of this www. So because of this graphic intensive nature of www, it has reached more audience than the internet. That is the thing that you have to remember with respect to this World Wide Web. We'll see the next topic that is related to Telnet. So you just imagine you have a project examination. For example, you are done some of the project and today you have that project examination. At the time, what you are supposed to do? So you have to show or you have to run that project on your laptop and you need to show that to the external or the person one who is taking the examination, right? So at that time, you just imagine you have forgotten your laptop in order to bring that into examination hall or to a college. At the time, what you can do? So you just imagine your house is too far away from your examination center. At that time, if you have a remote login to your system, that means if you have access to your system, then you can use the content of your system by sitting in the place wherever you are. That means you can access the content. For example, you consider your system is somewhere else or your laptop is somewhere else, but you wanted to access the content, you wanted to see what are the files I have, what are the content I have in my computer system. But I can access that information or I can access the content of my system without going there or without having that system physically. So that means what? I can get a remote login, I can access the content which is there in my computer system. That means this Telnet is also called as Teletype Network. It is an order internet utility that lets you log in to remote computer system. So your computers are somewhere else, you are somewhere else, but you can get access to your computer system by sitting remotely. That means wherever you are, you can get an access to the computer system if you have this Telnet utility in the computer system. So that Telnet program gives you a character-based terminal window on the other system. So you consider you have a system and you have another system. Okay, so in the another system, it will going to give you some prompt. So you have to fill the credential. So if it is saying okay, then only you can access the content of your own system without visiting that place or without having that system physically. So that you get a login prompt on that system, So if you are permitted to access, then you can work on that system just as sitting next to that system. So in that way, you can access the content which is in your system without visiting that place or without having that system physically. So here you can see that here we have a Telnet client. So I wanted to seek the access for my original system, then I will be the Telnet client. So here I will input from client keyboard to server. So I am going to with the help of this prompt, I will just give the credential. At the time it will reach to the server and it will reach to the Telnet server. That means it will going to reach to the original system. Then it will fetch the content. Again that content will go back to output from the server to client display. Then being a Telnet client, I can get whatever the content is there in my original system without visiting this place or without having that physically. This is regarding Telnet. We'll see the next topic, that is regarding web browser. Already you are much aware about this web browser. So as I told, internet is the ocean. If I wanted to fetch the content, we are going to use this web browser, right? So this will going to produce or it will going to display the content of that particular file, what and all documents that we are searching for. So that web browser is a www client that navigates through the World Wide Web and displays the web pages. So with the help of this web browser, we can fetch the content. So that www allowing in order to access the content. This web browser will going to display that content over the internet. So now we'll see what is the definition of this web browser. It is a software application that enables the user to view web pages, and we can navigate the web pages and move from one website to another website. Mainly this web browser is an application software, that is software application. It has been developed for the particular purpose. So in order to view the web pages or to navigate the website, we can move from one web page to another web page. And we have some of the web browser examples here, that includes Google Chrome, and we have Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator, Mozilla Firefox, and we have Opera. So these are some of the examples with respect to web browser. Then we'll see about the web server. As I told, we have server and we have client. Server is the one who is providing a service to the client. Client is the one who is requesting the service from a server. Okay, so if I'm searching something, then I will be the client. Those who are getting that data to me, then they will be the server. So here, web server is a www server that response made by the web browser. So whatever the searching that we are doing with the help of this web browser, we are going to reach out to the web server and it will fetch the content back, and that will going to be provided or produced to the user. So what are the examples we have with respect to web server? It includes Apache, IIS and PWS, that is personal web server for Windows 98. So it has been, Apache has been developed with a programming language called Java, and this IIS with C# programming language. And we have this PWS, mainly that meant for Windows 98. So these are the web servers. We'll see the next topic, that is web page. Already I told you that web portal is nothing but it is a collection of website. Then what is website? That is a collection of web pages. Then now we'll see what is this web pages all about. So here web pages is nothing but a document which can be viewed in a web browser and residing on a website is called a web page. So collection of web pages is a website. Then web page, that is a particular document that will going to be displayed on a web browser and it will going to be resides on the website. So this can contain any kind of data. So if I consider any web page, that may comprises of any kind of values, like it may comprises of images, text, audios, videos, that can contain any kind of text or image. So that can contain any kind of data. And also the web page will going to use HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, in order to access the content from the internet. And also the web page, we have several kinds. So that includes home page. So what do you mean by home page then? As I told, we have a collection of web pages then which is the topmost web page in a website, then that will be termed as home page. So if you consider your mobile also, we have a home button, that will be the topmost button of the mobile phone. That means it will going to have a topmost page. So when we are saying that as a home page, that indicates that web page that is the starting page and acts as an index page in the home page, is the home page. So it is the topmost page in the website, or it will going to be as a starting page of the website, and it will going to be act as a index page. So with the help of that home page, I can get to know what are the pages that we have in a group of web pages or at the website. That is related to home page, and this is also important for 1 mark question. Define home page, or what is home page. So next we have a web portal. As I told, a web portal is nothing but it is also a website. So it has a collection of website, right? So you just imagine we have a website that is collection of pages, and if it is a collection of website, then that will be considered as a web portal. So that will going to facilitate various type of the functionality as website. So you can consider the matrimony, that is also one of the web portal, that is marriage portal, and we have a hotel business portal, we have a educational portal, we have a PU portal. That means what? They are facilitating some particular purpose. For that purpose, they are having this collection of website. That will be termed as what? Web portal. And if you consider the web page example, it may comprises of www.pue.kar.nic.in. So, and also we have one more link that is related to web page. So, mainly it is going to be act as a document which will going to be displayed on a browser and which resides on the website. This is related to web page. We'll see the next topic that is related to URL. So, as I told, internet or a world wide web, it is just like an ocean. So, if I say where you have stored your file, so at that time, you are going to say me the location, like, so it is in the document. So double click on the D drive. So within that I have one folder. Within that folder I have one more folder. So there I have that particular file or a page. Okay. But that is related to local level. What if I wanted to know the address of any of the web pages in the web or in the internet? Then it is necessary to have this URL, that is specifying the address or a location of a web page where it is residing over the internet. So here URL is nothing but uniform resource locator. So mainly the internet structure of the www is built on the set of rules called hypertext transfer protocol. In short, it will be considered as HTTP, and a page description language called hypertext markup language. So that means if I consider this web browser, or if I consider any of the web or a internet that has been developed, or the structure of that www is based on the set of protocols or a set of standards or a rules called hypertext transfer protocol. So in order to communicate with this HTTP, we have a language called HTML, that is hypertext markup language. So this HTTP will going to use this internet address in a special format that will be considered as what? URL, that is uniform resource locator, that specifies the clear address of each resource on the internet. So internet is a ocean, so whatever it could may include. So in order to get to know the content, where it is, in which location it is, then URL is important. So this HTTP will going to use this URL in order to find the address of anything which is resides in the internet. That is the use of having this URL, and its acronym or abbreviation is uniform resource locator. And how this URL will going to look like? So here you can see the example, http://www.internet.com. So what it indicates? First, it includes a type. So what kind of server in which the file is located? That means here type specify the type of server in which the files is located. So in which kind of server we have a file which is resides on which servers, and also we have a address :// and we have a address. That address indicates or name or address of the server. So that indicates the address or name on the server. At last we have a path. That path specifies the location of the file on the server. So mainly type specifies the type of server and name or address specify the address of the server, and that path specifies the location of the file on a server. So this is how this URL will gonna look like, and this is also important. What are the elements of URL it includes? So it has a type and it has address and it has a path. So you write that syntax and explain what do you mean by type, what do you mean by name or address, what do you mean by path. Well, here also we have one of the example. This specifies the type and this specifies the address and this specifies the path. This is related to what? URL or Uniform Resource Locator. We'll see the next topic that is related to domain. So you just imagine you have a website that consists of what? Collection of web pages, right? So if I say what is the address of particular web page, at that time you may say some words or you may say some its IP address. How can I find the address of web page? With the help of IP address, because one web page address is different from another web page. So that is something like 128.28.10.2. So somehow I am taking random values here. This is what I can call this as a IP address, but this is only for one web page. What if I wanted to deal with the lakh of or thousands numbers of web pages? Can you remember all these numbers? No. So for that purpose, we are going to take or we are going to convert this numbering scenario into some words that will be considered as what? Domain names. So mainly an internet address in which is a character based, that is called a domain name. So if I consider a IP address, that is of numerics, but if I consider the internet address which is of character based, then we are going to call that as a domain name. And also domain name is a way to identify and locate the computer and its resources which is connected to the internet. So with this domain name, and we can identify and we can get to know its location of the computer and resources which is connected to that particular internet. So in order to get to know the address of connected content of an internet, and also in order to get to know or to locate the computer and its resources, like what are the source we have in a computer, with the help of this internet we can fetch its address. So that will be based on the character. So that is considered as what? Domain name. And also this type of domain name is also called as host name. It will be considered as a host name. So here we have a list of domain names. So you can see that .com, that is with respect to commercial purpose. So if they are using it for business or for commercial purpose, then .com will be the domain name. And .gov, so it is related to government sector. And also .mil, that is related to military. And .ac, that is related to academic. And .org, organization, edu, education. So if you are searching something over the internet, then you can see that URL. So in that URL, at last you can see the domain name. So if you consider this one, here what is the domain name? .com. That is mainly they are using this web page for the commercial purpose. So we are going to segregate the web pages, or we are going to segregate the website based on its purpose. So then it will be easy in order to get to know the values, or in order to get to know the address of the file which is resides on the internet. And also we can have a higher domain with respect to particular country. For example, if you are searching something which is related to India, then .in. So if I am getting anything like .uk, is this Uttar Karnataka? No, it is related to United Kingdom. So these kind of domain names that we have in a internet. So you can use this domain names in order to specify its address, or in order to locate the resources which is connected to the particular internet. This is related to what? Domain names. And definition of domain name is also important. Define domain name. Okay. We'll see the next topic, important one, that is electronic commerce. Till now we got to know the basics of internet, or we got to know what is the types of softwares we have, how can I get a benefits, whether I wanted to pay or not, everything that we have discussed. So now if I say electronic commerce, so somehow it will be easy for commerce student. How come? That means, what do you mean by commerce, or what do you mean by business? At that time, it is just what? trade of goods and services. That means if you are doing it over the internet, then that will become e-commerce, that is electronic commerce. So e-commerce is the trade of goods and services with the help of telecommunications and computer. Then we are going to call that as a e-commerce. Very important topic in the perspective of your examination. What is e-commerce? Can be asked for 1 marks question. And also here, this e-commerce involves the automation of the variety of businesses to consumer transaction through the reliable and secure connection. So nowadays we are all rely on this e-commerce. Nobody wanted to go out of the home. They don't wanted to shop in the shopping malls. Instead of that, most of them are rely on the internet thing. So we are purchasing some goods, or we are doing some trades and businesses or services taking place over the internet. That will be considered as what? E-commerce or electronic commerce. Then what are the technologies or services that will going to be provided under this e-commerce? Very important question for 3 marks. This is very important question for 3 marks. So mention or write any 3 or any 6 technologies and services which is used in the e-commerce. So what are the technologies or services it will going to provide? Mainly electronic data interchange. We can exchange the data over the internet, and also email. So email is the one of the best example for providing a service over the internet. And also we have a electronic fund transfer. So you can take the example of Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm. Are you going to bank, or you checking your amount, whether you are doing some transaction with the help of banks? No. So we are doing it over the internet. That is considered as what? Electronic fund transfer. And also we have electronic benefits transfer, then electronic forms. So you can take the Google Forms. So in order to submit your assignment or in order to submit the feedback, so we are going to have this electronic forms or a Google Forms. So with the help of this e-commerce opportunity, we are getting this service. And also we have a digital cash. So no need to have any physical cash. Instead of that, all the money that you have in your account has been connected to the internet. You can have a flow of this digital cash. And also we have a interoperable database access. Already we have discussed regarding this database. In order to get the content of a database over the internet, we can have this e-commerce. And also we have a bulletin boards. So in order to get the day-to-day news, so we are going to use some of the application software. We are going to use some of the websites in order to get the real-time news. That is related to what? Bulletin boards. And also we have a electronic banking or e-banking. So nowadays all banks are come up with their own application software. So with the help of that particular app or application software, we can do this electronic banking. And also it can be used for barcoding. So we have more familiar with this QR code, scanning that QR code and sending a money directly without going to bank and all. And we have a imaging and voice recognition. These are the services that you can get with the help of this e-commerce. So these are the technologies and services which will be used in the e-commerce. If I am doing a e-commerce, all these services or technologies which come into existence. Now we'll see the next one, that is types of e-commerce application. Very important question. So what are the types of e-commerce we have? Already we got to know what is e-commerce or electronic commerce. So now we'll see about its types. So if you are doing it for the business to business, so here trading of goods and services taking place between the business and business. That means you can consider wholesale business and retail business. So if the retail business taking a content or a trade and services from the wholesale business, then that is what? Business to business. So here the exchange of services or informations or any products from one business to another business partner will be considered as what? Business to business. So you can take the example of Alibaba here. And also we have a second type, that is business to consumer. So mainly what? Business to consumer. They are providing a goods and services to consumer. From the business or from the vendors we are getting that. So the exchange of services, informations or any products from business to consumer. Which is the best example here? We can take an example of Amazon, Flipkart. So all these are the example which comes under the category called business to consumer. So next we have a consumer to business. So here it is just a reverse of B2C to C2B. So that means what? Consumer to business. Here is you can take the example of freelancer. So they are going to provide a service to the business. So the business partner will going to directly approach, or they are just going to update over the internet in order to seek for the help for their benefits of the business. At that time, so if the consumer is okay in order to provide a service, then they can give the service. So this vendor will going to bid the services among the large number of consumers. So who are going to provide that particular service with a less cost will going to be selected. So here you can take the example, consumer directly contact with the business vendors by posting their project work with set budget online, so that needy companies review it and contact the consumer directly with a bid. So you can take the example of Naukri.com, or you can take the example of LinkedIn. All these comes under this consumer to business. We are trying to give the service to business. So you can take the example of Naukri.com and LinkedIn, which comes under the category called consumer to business. And also we have a consumer to consumer, which is the best example. I can say it as OLX. So you are also consumer, you are also looking for something. I am also consumer or a customer. I am looking to give the service. That means consumer to consumer. So e-commerce is simply commerce between the two private individuals or the consumer. OLX is the best examples which comes under the category called C2C. So these are the types of e-commerce application, and it is also important. A question will be like, what do you mean by e-commerce? Mention any two kinds of or any two types of e-commerce application. So now we'll see the advantages of this e-commerce application. What is the first advantage? Mainly we can have a easier entry into a small market. That means you just imagine you have a retail shop or you have a provision store. So that provision store is only limited for your area. But if you are having that provision store virtually, or if you are giving it your service at rates of goods and all over the internet, then you are going to have a large market, or you are going to have a large number of audience. That is also one of the advantage here. So it will going to create a new market through the ability to easily and economical rate potential for the customers. So it will going to improve the potential of the business. Then it will be easy for the customer in order to access the data and information, or in order to access the goods and services. And global participation, as I told, if you have a provision store or any of the store, that will be limited to particular certain circumference of a area. But your business is over the internet, you are going to have a global participation, or you can have a global audience for you. Then optimization of a resource will be increases, and also it reduces the time to complete the business transaction. If you are booking anything over the internet, or if you are getting some services, that won't take much time. So it will be going to reduce the time in order to complete the business transaction. Then buyer makes a buying decision and creates the purchase order but does not print it. So you can have a e-receipt here. That means you can save the trace without printing that values. That means that will going to be available as a soft copy. And also here improved market intelligence and strategic planning. So you can get various amount of strategy planning here. For example, consumer or customers are not happy with your products or services, then you have to analyze what are the things which is not making the customer happy. That means you have to have the root cause analysis. So in order to do that, you can go with some of the advertisement, you can go with some of the pamphlets. That means what? You have to do the strategic planning in order to satisfy the requirement of a customer. And moreover, you have to understand what is the need of a market at now. So then if you get to know what is the need of a market right now, then you will be able to serve the service to the consumer or a customer. So that is what it will going to help in order to improve the market intelligence, as well as it will going to improve the strategic planning. And also EDI software creates an electronic version of the purchase order. So this is what if you are doing this trading of services or goods over the internet, then this software will going to create an electronic version of the purchase order. So no need to write anything, no need to do any of the paperwork, everything will going to be available over the internet. If you give some credential, you can get all the details that you have purchased. And also supplier order entry system receives the purchase order and update the system immediately on receipt. So no need to wait for a day or a half day of it in order to get the receipt. So if you are doing it as of now only, it will going to generate the report or receipt immediately. And also supplier's order entry system creates an acknowledgement on a transaction it back to confirm receipt. So the acknowledgement will be there, then there will be less amount of fraud detection will going to be takes place in this e-commerce. Though we have to be very careful when you are doing any of the transaction over the internet. So these are the advantages that we can get with the help of this e-commerce application. We'll see the last topic, that is related to what? Intellectual property right. So now we got to know what is internet, what is web browser, why we require web page. So everything we have discussed. So now I have to understand how I am supposed to be in the internet. That means if you are doing something over the internet, what can be done and what should not be done. So that specifies the intellectual property right. That means intellectual property rights means copyrights, patents and trademarks, designs, etc. which is held by a person or a company who have invented or designed a product. That means if you are designing some product, if you are inventing something, so you have a full access right to that. But if somebody trying to snatch it, if somebody trying to copy it, so that is not so fair. So that means what? Intellectual property right will going to define how we are supposed to be over the internet. That means what can be done and what should not be done. So this copyright, trademark, industrial design, patents and integrated circuits are the different forms of intellectual property. Main intention is what? If you are working on some product or if you are working on some services and all, that belongs to you. So if you wish to give it or if you wish to share with others, then you can share with others, then only you can give that to others in order to use. So that means they are protecting the rights of individuals over the internet. So for that, we have this copyright. For example, you may have all heard the word called copyright, trademark. And if you wanted to use some of their own songs, at that time you have to take a copyright. So if you wanted to use any of the product or if you wanted to use any of the invention which is already done by somebody else, then they are going to have their own patent. If you wanted to use it, you have to get a license from them, then you have to pay some amount for them, then only you can use their ideas and their knowledge. So without that, you will be in the jail. So we are going to have copyright, trademark, industrial design and patents, integrated circuits will going to be of the different form of this IPR or intellectual property rights. So the main benefits of this IPR are wealth creation and also legitimate ownership and talent attraction, and we have a image of trustworthy organization. These are the benefits that we can get with the help of this IPR. So this IPR will going to obey or it will going to protect the rights of individual over the internet. And we can see this IPR role in most of the sector in order to obey or in order to secure the rules and regulations or in order to secure the individual's perspective, their ideas, new technologies or any designing of their own. So this is regarding what? IPR or intellectual property rights in India. I hope you all understood. We are at the end of this chapter called Internet and Open Source Concept. Let me meet you in the next session with a new content. Until that, you all keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.